conspire, and the kings plot in vain. The kings of the earth rise up, and the rulers band together against the Lord and against his anointed. The one in heaven, he laughs at them. The Lord scoffs at them, rebukes them in his anger, and terrifies them in his wrath. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. Break them with a rod of iron, dash them to pieces like pottery. Therefore, kings, be wise. Be warned, you rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear. Celebrate his rule with trembling. The one in heaven, he laughs at them. The Lord scoffs at them, rebukes them in his anger, and terrifies them in his wrath. I have set my king on my holy mountain. Kiss his son, or he will be angry, and your way will lead to your destruction. His wrath can flare up in a moment. Blessed are all who take refuge in him. Why do the nations conspire, and the kings plot in vain? The kings of the earth rise up, and the rulers band together against the Lord and against his anointed. The one in heaven, he laughs at them. The Lord scoffs at them, rebukes them in his anger, and terrifies them in his wrath. Oh yeah, oh
Greetings in the name of the Most High. Yeah, well, I wish I had better news to report today. Unfortunately, I mean, I spent a weekend at a great film festival, Horror Hound, in Cincinnati, with a lot of people that were just wild for VHS tapes and monster outfits and all kinds of things. One thing that was missing, we weren't talking about, the shooter or Charlie Kirk or the mood of the country, or the same things we've been talking about for 20 years. I mean, it's been 20 years that I've said, and, check me on this. I like a little bit better close up here. You can crop it just to my face. You see, I'm a little bleary-eyed. Anyway, so here's the deal. You recall that recently I did a pod where I was talking about the two sides, and there are two, only two, cannot, good and evil, friendly, enemy, yin and yang, if you will. But we talked about the fact that there can't be a coexistence. It's either one or the other. It's come down to either, it's either them or us. There are no neutrals. If you're neutral, you're for what I would consider to be the evil enemy. For me, evil would be the rejection of God, and good would be sort of acceptance of God, creator, and just the grandeur of the universe, the grandeur of it all, the grandeur of creator, the awe involved, the incredible pathways, the coincidences that you stumble along and find your path. It's not you that finds it. It was always meant for you to have, because it was created for you. It was created for me. And we find those miracles in our lives, and we just know God. We just know that's real. But the enemy, whether you take the word globalist, Marxist, other cults, trans cults that are now assassins, that are fairly big. Actually, they're basically the Bolsheviks were terrorists. So all these are really terrorist cults. The problem is that they're so wound up and so linked in modern society, and that they're the WEF, the UN, and other globalist organizations have planned on wiping out the all who disagree and killing them all to affect their political change, which is called terrorism. It's the definition of terrorism. The Christians have been tepid, but they're trying to whip it up. The controllers, I'm just kind of summarizing how we got here. The controllers are kind of trying to whip it up, one side versus the other. And I believe the next stage, I'm in agreement with those people saying that the false flags are coming, just like they did with, they'll get their people to shoot up a black church or something like that, and or Pride Parade or whatever, and say that it's the Charlie Kirk patriots. And there'll be a new category of ultra right-wing, bigoted whatever, and they say that they're now making things up about Charlie. And I'll just go forth and tell you these are the things that are not true, just so you know. Number one, Charlie Kirk is not a Zionist. He had actually broken with Netanyahu and company when they tried. There was an incident of. It's not. I can't prove this, but I've heard about an incident where he refused a good sum of money to more or less be more cooperative in the way that, say, that others are cooperative. But in terms of Zionism, the way it's formally defined, no, he's not a Zionist. He's an American, and that's where his goals are, to improve America. And his goal is not Israel first. So that would mean he's not. So therefore, stupid logic. He's not a Zionist. People saying that are lying. And I'm sorry to see some of my friends saying that, but you guys are lying. You're not telling the truth. You haven't really researched it well enough. But there are ways you can go about it. So anyway, they're putting rumors out about everybody that Charlie Kirk said that Black women are not capable of getting an education or working in the workplace or whatever, not as smart as white women or something like that. He never said anything like that. He said something to the effect of, he was going through statistics about black on black crime, white crime, crime in general, and trying to get a statistic on where most crimes are committed and why they're committed. And his theory had to do with more or less had to do with the family, that families need to be intact, whether they're black, white, whatever. He hasn't a prejudice bone in his body, or he didn't at all. And all were welcome, including really, radical leftists, whatever. He loved talking to them. And he did want to influence them to give God a chance to try to turn to God, because he knew that if you turn to the Lord, then that changes you. You don't need Charlie Kirk to change you. You don't need your people next door to change you. You don't need a church to change you. And what that means in change is, well, away from where we are about to kill each other, that kind of change. So after going through what I went through this weekend, my heart sort of opened up, because I'm in a like a big convention center with thousands of people. And, I could see there were people, depending on their costumes, there were trans people, there were gay people, there were Muslim people, there were Jewish people, there were Christians, there were atheists, you name it, they were there. But all had this one thing in common. And to me, listen carefully, please. To me, it was the same thing that Kirk had said about, and other people observing Kirk's style of the way he did things on college campuses. Because as long as you can get a dialogue going, as long as you can get communication going, then that takes care of the hatred, because you see the human being in that person. They see the human, and now it's no longer not able to coexist. So take it beyond what I said before, take it to the next step, that communication diffuses this feeling of it's either us or them. Because us or them, let's go back to the Pink Floyd. We should start with the Pink Floyd song, us and them. And in the end, we're just ordinary men. Well, that's true. In the end, we're just all men, all women, all men, women, children, humans. And, we get to an us and them mentality. And I know that that's factually incorrect ultimately, but it gets to a point where, this town's not big enough for the both of us. Either he goes or I go. One of us has got to go. Maybe we should have a duel. That went on a lot in the West. That went on too much. A lot of graves out there of people that couldn't live with the other guy, couldn't live with the other team. And then they wound up killing each other. This is a very common thing, a very common mistake in human, a very common mistake in human endeavor. And, but like I said, communication. Now, what did we have? I learned a few things on the Horror Hound weekend. Apparently they have this a couple times a year. Very nice people that put it on. Very, very good people. Don't know what their affiliation or their beliefs and anything is. I have no idea. And it didn't really become a subject. We were just like, there we were, trying to make movies. And, we're getting awarded for our efforts in making movies. Mine was from a disaster that happened a long time ago. And I tried to explain the disaster, but I haven't done a very good job. I'll probably try, maybe if I get interviewed, I can explain what happened and how I really had to divorce myself from the film. And, the fact that it was just, it had expended all its rights and all the people's permissions. And so I have the copyright. So therefore, I restored it. But we got an award for best sound design, which I was very proud of. Scott Sabo, our mixer, also he composed the new music. We put a whole new score, a whole new sound. Sound design was really important to me. And I really, really spent a few months just on that, And I had Chris, who was who was the main dialogue editor and sound effects importer or whatever, designer. And then of course we had our an 8K version of the film, which had to be then recreated in Barcelona by the wizards of the genius artists were able to go in there and remove to make it look like better than the 35 millimeter print that it started out as. It looked pretty good, but it's even better than that now. So I was always happy with that end of it. And so that one, I guess it really has to be shared between Chris, me, and Scott Sabo. Maybe I'll send him the little, they give you a medallion, and maybe I should send him that medallion.
And the certificate.
And the certificate, which is pretty cool. I don't know where I thought I'd find the medallion
It's
today.
right over there. Both of them are right over there. You want me to get them?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It'll take a moment because I gotta go out the garage and around.
My face is so puffy. Yeah, we had a few drinks. Definitely, they had a party there after the awards, but nobody got really, I wouldn't say drunk or anything. It was just an ongoing event of sort of networking with people and meeting people, and I really got to know Transference on a higher level. I saw the screen, and I sat where I could really see people. See the reaction, and the reaction was just perfect for me. Except everything laughing at the right spots, sighing at the right spots, taking a deep breath at the right spots, whatever. They were all in unison, and then they all applauded, and nobody left. A couple of staff members left, but then they came back, eager to pick up where they left off. They had to go out and do something, being staff. So pleased with that. Then a couple of judges talked to me afterwards about how much they liked the film. They wanted to win everything, but I've never been in this festival before. I don't know people there. Seeing the people there all kind of knew each other, and Okay, so here's the. Thank you, Trish. So here is the. Well, I know you like to see this trivia before we get back to the horror of what is this? Oh, that's Marisol. So we also picked. They can't have that, please. No, if you can see. So that means a lot to me because that's where I spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And a lot of focus was on that sound design, because that was the most messed up thing in the whole. It did not that it didn't sound good. The print sounded good. I had an answer print of my cut, and then they went and butchered it on video and put it out as another title. And I didn't want to talk about it because I hated that, what they did. But I had my original cut, which that one was actually never screened. No one ever saw that. And so basically the sound and the music was really a problem. And the idea that I got a chance to do it the way that where I could sign off on it, and I really, liked it. I thought it really helped the film. And it really just rolls along. So now that I've seen how it works, and then people that like it, they really like it. There's a couple of judges, they watched it 4 or 5 times, and they argued for it to be, at the very top. And they all argue with each other, all the judges, till they come with a consensus. But out of that crowd and all very competent filmmakers, all talented. So out of that group, it was great to be selected in the first place, but then to come away with a couple of awards, especially for the sound design and Marisol's performance. She's a co-lead. She's not She's not a supporting actress,
not
but they
really.
gave it to her because her performance was so raw and so strong. And I don't know, that's one of the things I really loved about the actors in this one is how raw they were, how raw we could make the film. And that's why you look at indie films to see when everything is so, homogenized for audiences and focus grouped and looked at and analyzed and put millions of dollars spent on just making it look polished. And so that's so that when you get to the theater and when you stream it, you will accept it right away and go with it. And it doesn't always work, but they accepted this one right away and they went with it from start to finish. And it's not a short film. It's over 90 minutes. So it's pretty good and in that way. So I came away knowing that, we were ready to distribute. The best thing I could do right now is put it out and also make a Blu-ray. I know that we have Crazed House has Jacob, Larry's first big feature film. And now there's an article out on Jacob for the 4K Blu-ray that we're doing. And but you can stream it out there. It's called Jacob and Crazed House, and you can watch it. And it's amazing the review it got because it was done a few years ago. Actually, Larry had a live orchestra from Vienna or someplace,
Wow.
that did the score. So it's pretty amazing for that. And I like to do the same thing with this one. I think it definitely is a collector item, and at least one or two of the actors became semi-famous, I guess, in their time, or famous depending on how close to it all you are, but not a household name. But for those who care about things like that, it'd be a nice collector item down the road. And so again, I think we all just avoided talking about Kirk and terrorism and we're gonna overthrow the country and all that. It was devoid. It was like walking into a time warp, kind of alternate reality where and people were just genuinely kind to each other. There's a certain camaraderie. And isn't that what life is all about? That's what life could be. That's what it could be. But we have outside agitators. We have a spiritual war going on, which is the main way that I look at this is a spiritual war. I don't really care about all the details of how many people were on the crew that shot Charlie Kirk. I mean, it was obviously a big crew, okay? A big crew. And, they're working on hitting something else right now. There are a lot of people. There have been no arrests. People are screaming. I kind of told you there'd be no arrests. That's why I get so frustrated. It's just like it's all talk and no action. And I guess everybody is compromised in some way. But if nothing happens here, these people may kill you, may kill us all. But that's what happens when you ignore evil. And let's keep it on that level because, see, that's where the war is fought. It's evil that has metastasized because good people did nothing. We sat and let the evil creep into the schools, into the law. We allowed, billionaires to buy DAs and judges. What the fuck were we doing? Allowing all this to take us over. And now we're going to have to maybe shoot our way out of it. And it's our fault because we let evil creep in. We didn't nip it in the bud. It's like, oh, you're so homophobic if you don't like that. Or, oh, you're racist if you don't like. And all these groups that are created are just like Marxist front groups who are revolutionaries intent on overthrowing the system and overthrowing the country. So if you let them have an equal voice or a podcast, then obviously, if they're talking about overthrowing the country and so forth and so on, then a decision has to be made. How much free speech can you handle? If it gets in the way of, if it allows evil to take over, then it should be cut off before evil takes over and ruins it for all people. I don't think we're going to like watching them cut down by, military troops. Then they go, well, the military, ICE, they're fascists, so we have to fight back and scare everybody that, they're coming to get you because of the color of your skin. And then we're your defenders. The trans snipers are now a new Marvel comic book character, and they're going to defend all the minorities and private groups and NGOs and all these people that are beleaguered by Trump's fascism. And they frame it up just like that, and people believe it. And it's completely 100% lies, all lies. And I've seen friends of mine who are Democrats who they just start concocting about, Trump and Epstein and this and that, and they basically have enough evidence to hang everybody. And then I tell them, well, why didn't anything happen then before the election? Why did you allow that to go forward if you had all that evidence? It's because the evidence is made up. And everything you hear from now on in, for here on, because we're at war now. This is World War III, and I'd call this a one-way civil war right now. And they're all united. And so you take the groups, okay? Take the DNC, the NGOs, the teachers union and teachers, the LGBTQ and trans both, Hollywood celebrities, and yada 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 yada, who would be nowhere if they weren't chosen by the billionaire class on that side. By the way, they have the most money of anyone, and they're basically, they're the ones that fly people in to march, no King's March, and most of them are flown in and paid for. And it's all designed to fool you, so you'll be scared. You'll hide in your house. You won't go to to different events. You won't do things. They'll have you, locked down by a few crazies that go around assassinating people. And it'll get big news, and the news media even will tell you they like it when you're locked down. What they want to do is silence. It's not Charlie Kirk. It's not republicanism. It's good versus evil. And notice how on the side of evil, there's the acceptance of genital mutilation. Is there anywhere that you know of in society or any book that justifies that as a good thing? For example, let's take the Bible. Is it a good thing? Because of all these people transitioning because God made a mistake, because gender made a mistake, because people were born into male bodies, they were given all kinds of female hormones. Now they want to be girls. However they did it, and then creating a trans army of terrorists and assassins, and who, by the way, to this day, since there was a whole group of them on Discord, and dozens of them, and there's no follow through, no arrest, no nothing. They just want you to know it's a lone gunman. Always, it's like Hooks on the roof of Trump. Hooks also is a part of the trans army. Now, I don't want to vilify the trans thing. I mean, I think that's a sad thing that happened. This basically the blame on that belongs more to MK Ultra. And or the roots of MK Ultra, that what it metastasized into. And I'm very sorry that, the mind control got very powerful. And they love to, convince you that you're anything that would be, take a walk on the wild side. Maybe you should cut your dick off and dress up like a girl and put yourself out there as a woman. And maybe you shouldn't. I mean, but according to them, you not only should, it's your duty. You must. It's part of being an American. And then, when I extrapolated a lot of this out before, I knew that part of feminism, which is also a big part of this movement, this socialist or communist globalist takeover, and that's basically the real fascism that would be these people, because in the end, the billionaires would own everything, and the people would own nothing. And as you've heard them say, I mean, I'm not saying anything they haven't said. And the people would own nothing and have no chance of any upward mobility or a dream of having an American dream of having a house and and a living to make, to raise kids and relative peace. You can forget about that. That's already ship sailed. So now the way it looks to me now is, war forever. And there will be no winner, because in these wars, there is never a winner. The reason we have wars is to make money for the globalists, for the pigs, okay, the little piggies. And that's war pigs, as Ozzy intoned so long ago. And that's what you have there. They're just disgusting people, and they don't mind spending human capital on lining their pockets. That's what Ukraine is, textbook. Vietnam was textbook. If you want to know who's running the cartels and all the fentanyl and all the destruction, look no further than the US of A. So we're deeply divided to the point where each side one side is praying, right? The Christian. And therefore they must look like pussies, I guess, to the other side that's armed to the teeth and ready to kill. And they want to kill, beginning with, once they get the false flag in, then it'll be open season on any white person anywhere. Should be slaughtered. And that will all be engineered, and all the people that will be the actors doing the evil actors will also be misinformed and acting on lies, where there are people that would have been genuinely friends with them, but they'll never be friends now because they will not allow any communication. Notice that if you ever go to, or people that have tried to, go to these, these demonstrations on college campuses, that there's all these people with noisemakers trying to, like if there's a video being taken, they're in there with the noisemakers so that those people can't speak. They literally cut the tongues out of their throat and keep them in prison, in a mental prison. And hopefully the Charlie Kirk incident will break a few of these people free. So, you don't need to be in a political party. You don't need to be conservative or liberal. It's where things work usually is there's a balance in the universe. And we know that, we also understand, you say the problem of sin. Well, the problem of sin is a challenge of sin. And the whole, what I call a kind of a simulation that we live in is really a loyalty test. And will you be like Job, or will you sell out, join what looks like the winning team? And but the winning team, what looks like they're going to win, they're not going to win. They're going to lose. And I guarantee it. Yes, there may be a lot of people killed, but I mean, unfortunately, the complacency of people is causing the bloodbath. So if they sit there doing nothing, hoping it blows over, it's not going to blow over. This is, they want to have it out. So it's a one-way civil war. And so they're at war with you. They're at war with, I guess, white people, establishment, USA, institutions, anything American, even American flags, whatever, would be the enemy. And people of color that would be identifying with being an American would be considered to be traitors, and open season on them. So that's the war, and they need to get, in my view, they need to do about maybe 2 false flags. They've already got the Charlie Kirk people pledging to, to be there, ready to defend the Union, the United States, ready for war is what the news media is saying. And So the second step would be then the false flag, the where the globalists go in and kill a bunch of black people and blame it on Charlie Kirk and the people that were affected by the Kirk thing, and that this is really white retaliation, and then arm up all the black people that will take the arms and set them loose, go up and down the street in the neighborhoods just killing people. And you know, in the end result, it'll be the oligarchs, the billionaires that come in, take away all the bodies, reclaim all the land for themselves, take all the spoils, and the human beings can go to fucking hell. Both sides are idiots in the end. Because once you cross over to embracing war, like if the Christians, you know, embrace war, which they have in the past. I mean, you had the Crusades and all that. If they embrace war, then, but here's the problem, then I guarantee a bloody bloodbath, and I guarantee there'll be that will be a mistake. You know, they're gonna, the only way to win this war would to be like Christ, and to not only be forgiving, meaning you understand these people have been duped and they're acting on that. Some are hardcore evil and, you know, maybe probably leading the charge, but you know, they're acting on that. So I mean, I understand. I was around them all this weekend, and you know, when we're communicating about horror movies and things like that, we communicate just fine. You know, there's a definitely an air of love in the air, you know, and excitement. And you know, we really like the people that ran the show there. What a contrast, huh? Being at this film festival of all things, like just taking a break and going to, you know, Timbuktu for the weekend. You know, it's almost like going to another country where you don't have the same overbearing, you know, march to war, because the march to war is the billionaires' march to war. If Trump gets elected, this is our plan. Alex Jones has said it a million times. General Flynn has said it a million times. People have said it a million times. This will happen, then this will happen, then this will happen, then this will happen. All those things have happened exactly as said. What more does anyone need? But unfortunately, we're still sitting around, you know, not arresting people that. So what the Lord says here, and I'll just share a prophetic word. The Lord is giving me the word blameless. The Christian, the true one in Christ, the lambs, need to be blameless, not warmongers. I know I've gotten mad. I know I've gotten like, you know, shot my mouth off and said stupid things about, you know, well, just see what you think, sucker, tee it up. All that kind of stuff that when people fight, they get into this bravado, and it's wrong. So I've repented on it. I'm not interested now in because what I'm fighting is still I'm fighting my flesh in my reactions and my tongue to try to, you know, I'm not here to try to whip up any animus about anything. I'm looking at it from a spiritual war point of view. You know, it's basically a demonic, it's a one-way demonic war, and the demons are on the side of being against God. Doesn't that make sense on a really rudimentary level? Like, you know, patty cake. I mean, it's like, okay, so the anti-God people would be the demonic people. Can we make that? Is that too much of a leap? And the Christian, I mean, the true Christian, the people that walk with the Lord, you know, I'm not talking about the church corporate lip service guy. And there are not that many of those, but I mean, these guys are need to be blameless. But anyway, they're the God people. So it's really a war against the age-old war against God, it playing out through humanity. So it's a big one, you know. It's the big one in terms of billions can die. 8 billion people could die when it goes nuclear, which is just a matter of making it from a regional civil war to a world war, which it's basically just about in, because NATO wants to bomb Moscow as we speak. And China, of course, wants to take advantage of something like that and be the one true model of the way forward, and the credit score, and the whole totalitarian, super fascistic regime, where people like Antifa would be the palace guards, and Antifa, trans, all these groups, they're all the same group. And what they want to do is make you afraid to fight. And for the 20 years I've been podcasting, people in general have been afraid to talk, afraid to be who they are at their companies, in front of their bosses and their coworkers, afraid to actually be who they are, to hide behind some kind of facade. Let this time we're in be a time where you can come out. Everybody's come out of the closet, haven't they? Well, you should be able to come out of the closet too. But I mean, you're not at war like to fight anyone. I've seen a lot of people from that side of things, and we could call it. I just call it godless. It's sort of the godless, demonic versus the God's angelic warriors. It's really spiritual warfare, because a lot of this goes to self-censorship, not being at no more Thanksgiving dinners. Who has a vested interest in no communication among family members? Marx, Karl Marx, Saul Alinsky, and various others. That the communication, the reason, how many people that Charlie Kirk helped to inspire to follow Jesus and turn their life around, and not back to godlessness anymore, but go another way. It must be millions. And that's a good reason to want to neutralize. So this is kind of the way I see it. I think the one word I take away from it is blameless. If you communicate with people you don't agree with or don't agree with you, but you're communicating on some level, then that the war is basically won, because you don't want to kill that guy. You see you see a brother in that guy. You see a fellow human there. So this idea of us and them, I've toyed with the idea of genetic differences, and there may be intelligence differences or inclination, but human is human. So in the end, this is just the workings of Satan. Though this goes far beyond The Purge, the horror movie The Purge. I told someone I wanted to do the bloodiest, awfulest thing you'd ever seen in your life. It's really raw, gross gore, because I'm so, just to express my anger for all this stuff. I mean, make a horror movie that horror enthusiasts will be talking about for the next 50 years. But, it's a silly notion. We'll just have to do what comes up next for Crazed House. Do thou understand? Entiende. Si, senor. Good. Because you want to take the high road. You want to be blameless. And many of us may be martyrs in the end. We may be killed like that, woman on the subway, or there's a piece of art that's very intriguing to me. It's the look of the woman just before or just after she was stabbed, and then she looks at the guy. And the videotape was cut off before. People say there is no videotape of the actual stabbing. And, that's suspicious. But this look on her face, though, is kind of priceless. It's just this real wonderment of, well, why would you kill me? And then the answer I have is exactly. Exactly. We don't want to kill people based on ideas that don't jibe with ours. So we don't want to kill people. And that's a good way to, see if God will lead us to, the promised land, which is out of these wars. There's plenty of blame to go around. Okay, plenty of blame. For example, the corrupt nature of the United States banking system and military industrial complex is enough to get all of us on our feet rioting. If you think about it, think about the corruption and the billionaire politicians. They go in there, maybe they've got a couple $100,000 salary or whatever, and they walk out like with 25 million, with $30 million like Obama. And it's frustrating to those people working hard and getting nowhere and always being, whenever the government could give you a break, they just don't do it. All of us have been beleaguered by an evil government. They've been corrupted. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. The most powerful nation on earth, if it is not right with God, will be corrupt, and we are corrupt. Therefore, this war that is being engineered is going to happen. I mean, they want the race war, they want the civil war, they want anything they can get going is what they want. Just as long as it's destroyed, so they can come in and scoop it up for themselves. Okay, take your hard labor and scoop it up for themselves. All you communists out there, they're going to take what little you have for themselves and leave you in the ditch with no chance and no future. Because that's the way they roll. You fell for it. No, I've fallen for a lot of things. Just reason. Let's reason this out. The side of God or the side of limitation, lack, tragedy, trauma. The side of beauty, abundance, life, epiphanies, knowledge. Which do you choose? Those are the two sides. The side of darkness or the side of light. The side of light does not initiate wars. No, good thing we have cut them with a sneak attack. Now, that's not the way we could do that, and that would not be wise. What about Trump when he goes into, just run the National Guard and run the criminals out of town and have Washington, D.C. be cleaned up? Well, the priority there is to make the streets safe. I couldn't go there before, now I can. So thank you. It's so sad. Trump aspired to doing some really great things, and it looks like he won't be able to. I mean, I'll just be subjective about it. I know I've said he absolutely will accomplish the big goals, but I'm beginning to think now, and again, this is very fluid here. I could be wrong, and if I am, I'll be the first one to say it. We may not be seeing, the kind of turnaround that America really needs. Like other countries have bridges, they're beautiful, and sidewalks, and they don't have crime in the streets like we have. They're orderly and they're beautiful. And to get back to beautiful, we would have to build a lot of infrastructure. We've just let everything go. We let it all slide into disrepair. We've let the morals slide into disrepute. We have not seemed to understand we're being watched. We're being evaluated. Our actions have consequences. everything I think, everything I do, that there's the evil thing in here called the tongue that lashes away at some people. By the way, did I tell you that Alex Garland, who I kind of railed against, I must say this. I saw a movie on the plane coming back from Chicago, and it was called Warfare. It was about some Navy SEALs trapped behind enemy lines and surrounded, and the impossibility of getting out of there and how they made it out of there, and just very dramatic thing. I noticed Alex Garland was actually one of the directors. So it looks like he's, as far as I'm concerned, if he'll continue down that path, I'm very happy with him. No, I wasn't happy with Civil War because I understood it was pre-programming. And I recognize pre-programming. I recognize programming because I was programmed myself. So I understand this toughness of breaking out of that program. It's so hard for me. It was just a fluke that I broke out at all. I wanted the comfort of being programmed. I wanted to believe in good things. I guess I still wanted to be a child and believe in fairy tales. And I held on to that while they were attacking me. I said, why eventually I had to readjust my thinking about what the world really was. And then when I saw how hostile it was to the unwashed masses, people that would not conform to it, and for no good reason other than they're just assholes. And I saw the amount of creative free thinkers, the amount of inventors, the amount of innovators who got lost and killed, who had great ideas that would save, cancer and this and that and the other thing, all get flushed down the toilet, and most of them killed. And then I saw, okay, so that's the way the world really is. Okay, I get it. And then, you enter into the evil world system, which is evil, by the way, by conformity, by in your small community, they have people standing by ready to conform you and ready to guide you. Huh? Are you ready? Take the magical mystery tour? No, I'm not ready. Why don't you shove that up your ass? But I guess you're already dead, so who cares? You want to just take innocent people, especially children, and destroy their lives. And then you don't mind if you kill them. So no, I don't have much respect for that sort of thing. No, I don't have respect for child sex trafficking, adrenochrome trafficking, and all the rest of the eels that are going on. And it all comes from the world system because it's evil. It's ubiquitous around the globe. It's everywhere. It's everything everywhere all the time. So it's a spiritual war we're born into. And the real conformity, the real change, it's either the world wants to change you or Jesus wants to change you. But the real conformity is to Christ. That's where you can grow. You can't grow, being tied at the hip with a PTA. Who, by the way, have been caught, sexually abusing their children, and then having these pious PTA meetings. For the purpose of conformity, of course. Conformity, thou shalt groom your children. The only reason they get mad is because now the teachers are grooming the children. And so they get mad at that power shift. But basically, it's the same thing. Generation after generation after generation ruined. There's a way that seems right to a man, but that way leads to death. And what seems right to a man is instant profits and having a job ready and being able to buy that car and have a washing machine and be a member of the club and go on excursions once in a while with the kiddos and, hit that ball game, talk to your buddies down at the local bar. It doesn't sound like anything compared to what God has in store. It sounds like nothing compared with the miracle turnarounds I've had. It sounds like nothing compared to the miracle healings I've had. It sounds like nothing compared to the opportunities that have come my way that I didn't even ask for. That I just sort of set the sail and went with, and via con Dios, went with God, not the world. Besides, any of us could blow away. If we had to argue with them, it's not just, it takes about 15 seconds for me to refute somebody and have them just get pissed off and run away. It's because deep down they know they're wrong, but they don't think they can get out of it because they already did it. And they owe because they took their money, So you take the money, right? Then you bite the hand that feeds. So you're going to have to see it to the grave. So you got to lose your soul, or are you going to, break a false agreement? No. No. There goes the. And there he goes. So anyway, I had a lot more to say, though, about this spiritual war. And it's the same every generation. And it doesn't have to do with political. Political parties are a manifestation of the human condition. And let's go higher. We're in a spiritual war. And there's no place you can't go and no people you can't talk to. They may not agree with you in one thing, but if they're not exposed to you, they'll never know about, what else is available. Anybody on that timeline of destruction can repent and appropriate the blood of Jesus and take the forgiveness and the new life and shoot the old one dead. Your old man in you is dead, and yet the new man now lives. So I hope you have a good day. I'll see you next time. And God bless you.